going to give you a little bit of our thoughts on a draft strategy, and then we're quickly going to go over some of the older players versus some of the younger players and see where we stand. And then we would love to get some feedback on everybody on what your thoughts are when it comes to drafting older and younger players. So, Cody, if you had one piece of advice that you kind of like, one of the little strategies that you go into when it goes to draft, what would that be?
I would say when go into a draft, I always like to take like sure thing guys, and but I also when I look at these guys, I want these guys to be not really necessarily coming off a career type year. I think we saw a lot with last year's draft. Guy like Saquon Barkley, who had an unreal year, almost broke Russell Dickerson's record, over 2,000 yards. And we saw him be drafted in the top five last year and literally just come crashing down in last year as far as stats wise, and didn't produce at all. And so you're thinking, well, he can do this back to back years, and he did not do it back to back years. And so when I look at career type seasons, I really love JSN, but being a triple crown and getting all these touchdowns and yards last year in that Super Bowl run, do you really take JSN really early, or do you think, man, can he really do this for another year? Uh, and also, last year we saw with teams that your running backs really helped out a lot. If you had Jahmyr Gibbs on your team, you had a great season of fantasy football last year. If you had Bijan Robinson, you had a great year in fantasy football year. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey went off. And so when you're drafting, yes, you can. If you're in the middle right there, I'm looking at fantasy rankings right now, and if you're in the top, in the middle, I see guys like Puka, I see guys like JSN, uh, Jamar Chase. Yes, you can still take a wide receiver and still be fine, but when you come back around, your butt better be getting a running back. Don't you dare take two wide receivers in that first round. Don't you dare. Running backs are the way to go. You got to get your running back in that first round. If you go two wide receivers, you're done. You can kiss that season goodbye.
Yep, totally get it. Yep. So there you go. Evaluating stud season before, will that player do it again? So that's one way of looking at it. One of the things that I like to do is I evaluate each position, and I only do three. I do quarterback, running back, or four, excuse me, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Okay. And you want to try to look and see which one of those positions has just a few guys in that upper echelon. And one of the examples I'm going to give is a few years back, you had Gronkowski and you had Kelsey. And the next guy was like, Greg Olsen or something like that, who did really well. But these guys were putting up wide receiver numbers. And so during those times, I would always draft that tight end a little higher. I'm not saying that's who my first round draft pick is going to be, but I would draft those players just a little bit higher. And so I always go through and I evaluate each position. Now, it just so happens that I think we are in a tight end flood right now, where the difference between the number one guy and the number 12 guy, I have no idea. I think it's up for grabs. It's not like the Mark Andrews and the Kelsey years and stuff like that. So I know we talked about it earlier, but I put the emphasis this year on quarterbacks. I think there's a lot of running backs out there. There's new and old. There's a lot of questions, but there's a lot of running backs. Wide receivers are so stacked right now. There's a couple guys at the top, but I mean, are you going to promise me that Teteroa McMillan is going to be way worse than Jamar Chase this year? You can't promise me that. It's way closer. So when I talk about quarterbacks, you've got your top 8. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden, Drake May, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. There's your top 6. Okay. We already talked about Jaden Daniels. Nobody is going to scream on the top of a mountain if you draft Jalen Hurts this year. But there's your top 6. I'm going to mention the next 6 to 8. Jackson Dart, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, who we do like, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes coming off an injury, and Bo Nix. Do you see the drop there? And so that's why Cody and I were kind of talking about this is the year to draft a quarterback early. So another thing that he and I both agree on is everybody knows about the guys that are between like 26 and 30, but you got the older guys. Do they have another couple years in them, or do you let them go out to pasture? And then you got the younger guys that you want to go ahead and put faith in right away. So we'll talk about that. We're going to start off with a couple of running backs, 2 of the older guys, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Is it time to put either one out to pasture, or do they keep producing like they have in the past?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm looking at top running backs, and right now Saquon Barkley is ranked 9th in my rankings I'm looking at right now, and then Derrick Henry is ranked 13th. And so you're talking about 2 guys that used to be in the first round all the time, and now you see them taking a big step back, and you're seeing younger guys like a James Cook, like a Ashton Jeanty, like a Devon Achane. Amarion Hampton is in the top 10 now. These young guys are ahead of these older guys now, and it's in every rankings that you look at. Now, does that still scare you of, man, do I not pick up Saquon, or do I not pick up Derrick Henry because of, the age on the wheels and the tires and everything like that? Or do I take a risk on these young guys who have not really produced, but maybe can break out and having a breaking out season?
Well, let me ask you got the next pick. You need a running back. Okay, you're drafting a running back. Saquon Barkley's out there and Jeremiah Love's out there. Who are you taking?
Oh, I'm taking Saquon just because of the team that we're talking about. You got to always think about the team, and I think about the offensive line is better for the Eagles, and the competition. He doesn't have to worry about somebody taking reps and food off his table, like Arizona's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Arizona's got 2 good running backs, and James Conner and Tyler Algier right behind Jeremiah Love, but yet still Jeremiah Love is in the top 10, or he's at 10 or 11th right now in fantasy rankings.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And this is another thing, kind of going back to what we talked about, where you have to evaluate it by position, because I totally agree with you. We have our young studs as Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Price is going to go into Seattle. He's going to get plugged in, but Charbonnet's there. And, there's competition that can take away. But Saquon and Derrick, I mean, they're the bell cows. And to use an analogy that you did, I think they have a little bit of tread left on the tires. So don't give up on the old head running backs this year. Now, again, you do need to look forward to some of these other guys. If you're in some keeper leagues and stuff like that, yeah, maybe I'll take Love over Derrick Henry or something like that. But we like the old heads in this situation. Now, I think it's going to go the other way when we talk about some young studs with the wide receivers. I mentioned him earlier, our boy, T-Mac, your offensive rookie of the year from Carolina Panthers. And there's a new stud in town from Ohio State named Carnell Tate. So we have them matched up against 2 Hall of Famers, right?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Mike Evans. Devontae finally staying put for a year in the same team, and Mike Evans doing the opposite, moving from a team. So are you going to put your faith in the older heads in this situation, or are you going to kind of reach on these younger guys?
I I am actually going to do the opposite in this situation. I am going to go with the younger guys. You got a guy like Tyrell McMillan who's coming to his second season with Bryce Young with the Panthers. He is going to get bigger, faster, stronger, and you just see the like, all right, he can step in and be that number one guy, just like a young Mike Evans was when he was with Tampa. I look at a guy like Emeka Ibuka down in Tampa, where Mike Evans is gone now, and now he's the number one guy in Tampa. And
Mm-hmm.
we saw when Mike was out in the earlier year, Emeka was unbelievable. He was a stud. If you had him on your team, you were winning that Sunday. And so also some young guys that I like. We talk about Carnell Tate, who's going to be the number one receiver for the Tennessee Titans. We won't when I look at fantasy football and I'm drafting my receivers, I want to see targets. That's what I want to see. I want to see targets. If I have a guy on the bench who's getting 2 targets, I'm cutting his butt because that means the quarterback is not looking his way at all. But if I got a wide receiver that's getting 10 targets a game that T Mac's going to get, like Emeka Ibuka is going to get, that is who I want on my team, is guys that are going to get targets and the quarterback is looking their way the whole time. We talked about Roma Duze, Luther Burden, who's also on the Chicago Bears, who's high up. Um, like I said, these guys are really, really good. Mekhi Lemon. I also mentioned Mekhi Lemon to Weston earlier in the barbershop for my sneaky offensive rookie of the year. Now that A.J. Brown is gone, and now that the number one cornerback is going to be on Devontae Smith, that's going to leave a lot of opportunities there for Mekhi Lemon, for Jalen Hurts to hook up with. Not saying I don't like Mike Evans and Devontae Adams, but we have seen Mike Evans be really hurt last year and miss a lot of time last year. And we have seen that with Devontae Adams too. And so, yes, do they still produce? Yes, Devontae Adams had 10 touchdowns last year. He was a complete stud. But it's that upside, it's that ceiling that we talked about. That if you have that high ceiling and you get a T Mac, a Mecca Ibuka, a Carnell Tate, maybe later in rounds, those guys are going to get their targets and their catches without, even if they don't get touchdowns. Let's say they get 6 catches, 8 catches, and they get 80 yards, 90 yards. That's a good day for me on a Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of touchdowns, that's one of the things with Devontae Adams. He is very touchdown dependent, and he's not the number one option out there. And Stafford could throw it to me and probably win the game. So I mean, he's amazing. And then Mike Evans moving into a new situation where I think they're going to really focus on Christian McCaffrey this year. So I'm with you, Cody. I like the younger guys in this situation. And I honestly would probably take a stretch on Carnell Tate before I would take Devontae Adams. Maybe not Mike Evans, but that's just where I'm at with it. I think he's going to get targets. Targets, targets, targets. That's what it comes down to with wide receivers. Do not get the touchdown dependent wide receivers. Now, if you're Randy Moss in 2007 or something like that, where you're getting 200 targets and 20 touchdowns, then that's fine. So I totally agree. So we got the tiebreaker here with the tight ends. We're going to kind of use like a George Kittle, Mark Andrews as an example, and then like a Colston Loveland, Ty Warren. So I'll go ahead and tell you right now, it's not even close for me. These young tight ends, I think, are going to emerge. This is the thickest tight end pool we have had in a long, long time. There are so many good tight ends, good, old, young, what have you. But if you look, here's your top ones: Trey McBride, young; Brock Bowers, young; Colston Loveland, young; Tyler Warren, young; Harold Fannin, Kyle Pitts Sr., Sam Laporte. You're starting to get a little bit older. It's not till number 9 or and 10 till you start seeing the George Kittles and the Travis Kelce's and things like that. So I am high on the Young Bucks this year, and I am not high on drafting a tight end early this year. there is a lot of value down the road. You've got Isaiah Likely is the 13th ranked tight end. So you can wait, let everybody get a tight end, and Likely could be just sitting right there for you. You got Mark Andrews at 14. So, I mean, it does drop off a little bit from there, but you can't tell me that you can guarantee that Likely is going to have a worse season than Kyle Pitts. You can't guarantee that. So I like the young guys in this situation. Cody, do you have an old guy that you're kind of focused on? You Travis Kelsey guy this year to make a comeback or something like that, or you think Kittle's the only old guy that you would maybe put any faith in?
Uh, man, I do like a healthy George Kittle, but it's going to be a while until he's really fully 100% in that offense. Um, Maybe another older guy that I like, is kind of sneaky, is if you're really late on a tight end that you don't, let's say you already maybe took a young guy and you want just an older guy just for like reassurance. I always liked Dalton Schultz, a little sneaky
Hmm.
tight end. I like Dalton Schultz down in Houston, man. Really produces very well. He's always like a second target behind Nico Collins for a CJ Stroud. So if you want an older guy that that's going to be there in the late rounds that no one's really thinking about, that you can be like, hey, I don't really have a tight end right now. Dalton Schultz is a name to go for. But I am totally agree with you. I'm a young guy. I These are a bunch of studs up here. Like I said, I love Colson Loveland. I love Tucker Craft. Tucker Craft was having a phenomenal year before he got hurt
Hurt my
against the Carolina. Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
And so he was having a phenomenal year. Think about a rookie in New York, the New York Jets. I know you don't take no, not a lot of us in fantasy take Jets players, but the Jets did take Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon in the first round. We all know if that general manager and that head coach is taking a first round pick, that first round pick is going to be on the field. And so you got a quarterback in Geno Smith that really likes the tight end position. And so maybe in those later rounds, you look at a Kenyon Sadiq, who was a
Mhm.
stud at Oregon, who has 4.3 speed and can take it to the house. And so I look at guys like that too, but I totally agree. I do like Trey McBride, and he did break the record for tight end catches last year. But I don't like taking a tight end in the top 3, 4 rounds when
Mm-mm.
you got guys like George Pickens and the guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Josh Jacobs, and I can get a Saquon Barkley. I don't like taking a tight end with those type of names up in the top rounds.
Yep, 100% agree. And like Cody said, so you could get Sadiq. It's a dart throw. You're talking about the highest ceiling that you can get, but a really low floor, 18th ranked tight end. Nobody's
Oh
even.
yeah,
So,
and I'm talking about that's the later rounds. I
yeah,
mean, that's toward the end.
absolutely. So do yourself a favor, back off on the tight end this year, and maybe put a little bit more emphasis on the quarterbacks. So there we go. We went about double what we normally do today. We were obviously excited to get the football kicked off. Um, same old stuff. We've got the online store if you're interested in anything, but please do comment, like, and share and subscribe, especially today. Let us know if you've got any hints for the listeners or if you just totally disagree with our quarterback rankings and what have you. But get ready because it's going to be a long season, and you're going to want to tune into this and listen to all of this advice that we've been able to gather from all of these sources. So, Cody, you want to send us off this evening?
Yeah. Before we get off, I also wanted to mention for every Panthers fan out there, it was a sad news day. One of our outside linebackers who was going to be starting for us, Nick Scorton, tore his ACL and beginning to practice today. It was the very first day one practice of training camp. Sad to see that. It definitely hurts our defense. Hopefully, we get some guys to step up, maybe sign some guys in free agency. It's not the end of the world for the Panthers fans because we do want to see the offense take a huge step with Bryce Young and Tedrow McMillan and a young running back, for fantasy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna. I'm gonna take this guy in the later rounds. I'm gonna beat Weston to it. But a guy like Jonathan Brooks in the later rounds, hopefully that offense can start taking the next step, and we can have the defense more on the sidelines. While our offense is out there scoring points, but yes, please like, subscribe on our subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And please leave us comments. Tell us what your fantasy list is, and we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, well put, Cody. Yeah, we got to get healthy, but it's going to be a good year for our Panthers, and it's going to be a good year for our listeners in year 2 of the Fresh Cuts podcast. Here it is, your host, Wes Hood, signing off. Cody, it's been good.
All right, guys.